Back at it again.
Yes,
We got
indeedy.
we got Zuri, Tunji, Moses,
I knew
formerly
you were
known as
gonna do.
Kamau.
I knew you were gonna do something.
I'm
Dead.
telling no, I want this video needs to show. You need to see like this. This is the savior right here. But going in, welcoming y'all back. I want to jump straight into a question we were talking about on the IG live. So here it is. Hopefully this makes sense. And I want you to think about this in your drive as you're listening to this as well, answering it for yourself. If your dream slash career could only give you two of the following at one time, you can only pick two of these three. Which two would you choose for yourself right now? Not forever, but right now, for the next 6 months, you only get these two. Here are your three options. Impact on others. That's your friends, the community. Like Kamau, you were saying, you help people live their dreams. Second, personal fulfillment. You love what you're doing. You were made for this. And third, financial stability. Getting bread. You can only have two of these three for the next 6 months. Which do you choose?
Second was personal fulfillment.
Impact on others. Second is personal fulfillment. And the third is financial stability. Which do you choose now?
I'm choosing 1 and 3. I'm choosing um impact on others and financial stability. And the reason that I'm choosing financial stability is because of how I grew up. And how I grew up, um, one of my trigger words is budget, or the phrase "we're on a budget." And it took me actually some work, like to actually discover that that was a triggering thing to me. But it was essentially like the dream crusher when I was a child. Any time that I had something that I wanted, or something I felt like I needed, or something that I desired, it came down to those three words, like "we're on a budget." And um, I don't I don't hate budgets. I actually have one myself, which is why I have achieved financial success in a lot of areas of my life. Is discipline, structure, putting things in their place. But at the same time, the limitation that money can have on your lifestyle, on my lifestyle, really just like left such a mark on me that I have a conviction that that shit is not happening to me. It's not happening to me, and it's not happening to my children. And if you are attached to me in some way, whether you're a friend or a family, you know me, and I'm pretty like committed to making sure that doesn't happen to you either. Like I just have that kind of conviction. But my childhood created that. So the second one is, or the impact. Obviously, like, I think everybody feels good when they're doing something that impacts others. I think with those two, I could convince myself that, like, you know God has blessed me with two things. I'm helping other people, and I'm financially abundant, and I would just feel like this is a life of service, and that's the mindset I would have.
Man, you said choose one. Okay.
No, choose
I'm
two.
choose
You can choose two.
I'm choosing personal fulfillment. I'm choosing personal fulfillment because it's a beautiful thing, and it's something that people work so hard for. They can have all the money in the world, but they're not fulfilled, which means their impact starts to dwindle. Because when you do not fulfill your purpose within fulfillment, I feel like you miss out on the fun of the journey. You miss out on impacting others and making it fun for the other person. Because people on the other side can be impacted, but if they don't feel that genuine fun spirit from you, of you just genuinely enjoying it, sometimes people talk and they're just having fun, right? But you can tell that energy starts to rub off on you as you're being impacted. And just how I think in my goals of, you know, reaching a point where I have peace within my fulfillment and I have grace with myself as I feel, or as I am fulfilled. I think that's the number one thing. If I don't like what I do, you're not going to like how I'm impacting you as the road continues on. You might like it for a second. You might like how I look. You might like how I dress. You might like the exterior. But if I'm not fulfilled, after a while, again, the impact will dwindle. So I'm definitely taking personal fulfillment. And because I have to choose two, then I'm going to choose the third, which is financial stability. Because once I am financially stable and I'm fulfilled in my purpose, there's no limit to what I can build monetary wise to impact people's lives in different ways now, other than just impacting their hearts, impacting their spirit, impacting their mind. Now I can impact your pockets, and you can impact other individual pockets with the knowledge that I have impacted you with and with the wisdom that I've impacted you with. And I think once you add financial stability with personal fulfillment, we start to get into another dimension of impacting, right? Take the richest Black man in the world. This guy has, you could tell that he's fulfilled, but Robert Smith has also impacted people with his financial stability now. But once you watch interviews of him and you watch his speeches at Morehouse, now he could pay your debt and fulfill you at the same time. So now he's taking two weights off your shoulder. And that's just a little backstory of why I'll definitely choose the personal fulfillment and financial stability.
Zuri cheated. She thought outside of the box and ended up doing all three. So I want to raise the
But I only
flag on
chose
that
two
play.
though.
Yeah. She finessed the game strong. Like that was a great answer. Me, I struggled with this one. It's a reason why we always be in alignment. I definitely chose financial stability for this next 6 months, especially. Like, nah, I've been broke a long time, and I got to get this money right. One word that rings in my head is my father told me, "Yeah, you want to help people, but you help a lot more people as a rich man than you will a poor man." And I didn't really understand it or stick to it like when I was younger in high school. But now I'm in that season of life where the impact I want to make requires money. The resources I want to give cost money. So now it's not like esoteric and, up in the air. No, these are hard things that I could purchase and provide, and it leads to impact. So I would say financial stability and impact on others, because those two things I need to fulfill me. So I'm taking that Zuri route. If I have those two things right now, they
all
circle
work
back
together.
They do.
to give me what I need.
You know what's interesting? Living out here in Mexico and like comparing our worldview to that of a Mexican local or Mexican national. And especially like one of the things you see, obviously, when you come in Mexico is poverty and just like extreme levels of poverty. Like I did some research and the minimum wage here is $5 a day. And there are people who live off of that, who live very close to that. And it doesn't, you don't have to even go far to see it. Like you just walk outside and you can see a neighbor or something like that. And they won't have a roof, like it'll just be a tin metal thing. They won't have, like, they'll have a lamp here and there, but it won't be like, light fixtures, definitely not central air, you know what I'm saying? And getting to know some people, getting to know locals, talking, just understanding the mindset. And I feel like our mindset as Americans really shows in the way that we spend our time and how much we work. Like we are a very work heavy culture. I think like on average, Americans are working between 40 and 60 hours a week, sometimes more. And that is so foreign to other countries, other people. They're like, what the is wrong with y'all? Like, you weren't put on this world to just work all the time. You just work. You're obsessed with work. And it's funny that all three of our answers were all about finances. Like, I mean, that was at least I led with that. I think Zuri might have led, or I think she led with personal, but Tunji, you led with that. Like that is such an important aspect to our journeys and our definition of success. And I'm just curious, what are you guys' thoughts about that? Like, you guys have traveled, you guys have been out the country, and just juxtaposing that with people who are able to find, such happy lives with without money. Like, what does that kind of make you feel about your desire and pursue for that?
I think as I think about America, I think the difference is America, it's almost like it strangles you the poorer you get. Right? In other places, poverty it's not like you're being strangled. You can go out, for example, let's say food. For example, some of these countries, there's so much poverty, you can still walk down the street and grab some fruit off of a tree and eat. You won't starve and die. Like somebody's grandma can be like, okay, let's stay up here for the night, or let's get you a place to stay. Like, it's different. Like here, not only you strangled by the fact that it's not there, but you're also strangled by the fact that it's your fault and you're less than because of it. So I look at it like it's not necessarily we're a product of the environment, right? It's part of our foundational need now is money, where money is required for food. And in other countries, like, no, food is required for food, right? Like, let me just get some food. And we're like, no, I have to work to get money to get food. And I just think about feeling that suffocation of when I don't have enough to take care of mine. And I just don't want to feel that anymore. I don't want that to be a factor ever again in me not getting to personal fulfillment or impact. So I feel like it's taken a long journey for me to connect how money matters. And now that I've connected how it matters to my dream and my vision, it's like, no, let's go. Now I'm gonna live the best of both worlds. Like, no, like y'all found the right one at the right time. So it took me a long time to get to this point, because in other countries, it's not necessary. It's not everything. You see people, let me get my 4 or 5 hours in and go spend time with my family, right? This is what matters. And they're right.
And that, just real quick, that's what they judge me against. Like, they're like, I'm going to get my 4 or 5 hours in. I'm going to go spend time with my loved ones. And I'm not like that. I'm like, I'll get my 10 hours in and then I'll take a walk. And like they judge me, like they're just like, you gotta stop. It's I battle that. So sorry, Zuri.
I think how America is just set up, right? My mind goes straight to capitalism with that question, Kamau. And I think it's honestly a blessing, a curse to the mindset, to the hustle that we pick up here in America. Because again, going directly back to the word impact, it is a blessing and a curse to be under that chokehold, like you said, Tunji, here in America, because I know if I do multiply my funds, my impact can now reach outside of America. Jimmy Butler was just speaking on this, that when he has a goal of when he win, or if he wins the NBA championship, he will then want to impact baristas. I want to say in Mexico, but let's just say overseas, so I won't get that incorrect, because that's one of his passions. So for him to even have that thought that he has to work hard to achieve something before he can even give himself that freedom to impact a country that is deep in poverty, I think that's powerful, and that goes perfectly with my answer to this question. He sees that he needs to be monetary stable and he needs to work hard to be able to help someone else. But now he actually can. He can do it because he has the funds. The funds are sitting there. And I think that's powerful, and that's a blessing and a curse, right? You might work too hard, too much. You might have wear and tear on your body, but now you can choose how to treat this wear and tear on your body because you have the funds to do that. You can choose when you want to retire and help causes in other countries or right here down the street of homeless individuals or whatever your cause is, because you've set yourself up financially and worked that hard, especially if you're in America, those 40 plus hours. So I think it depends on which side you're on, or if you're in that gray area like me, to look at both sides, to see that positive within that capitalistic world that we live in here.
Oh, and Zuri, perfect transition talking about Jimmy Butler and the culture. Could you go ahead and jump us into our first segment?
It'll be my pleasure. So the first segment is Pivot into Purpose. Pivot into Purpose is a segment where we invite the culture into our brand of Pivot and Proceed. If you're a first-time listener or you're listening for the 100th time, a lot of times us three co-hosts, we talk about our own stories. We talk about how we might have been forced to pivot or when we choose to pivot. But either way, how we ended up in our pivot journeys, we've had to choose and figure out how to proceed on. And today we're going to talk about a guy named La Russell, West Coast music artist, West Coast indie rapper
Yeah.
that pivoted into his purpose, but chose to do it his own way, right? As an independent artist. And today specifically, I want to speak about an interview that he did speaking on artificial intelligence, also known as AI. He said that AI will expose who is replaceable and who is not replaceable. AI exposes the impact that you have on others as a human being. And the question that I want to pose to my co host is when pivoting into your purpose while being in a world of new technology, how do we still make sure that we are impacting individuals on the other side with our true and genuine purpose and not letting technology take that from us or take that impact away from us in this new world of technology?
I would say just out the gate, number one, Larissa, that guy, and I agree. I agree. Like what AI is gonna force you to do is be yourself. Because what AI can't tell is your story. It can't share your experiences through the medium that is you. That's something only you can develop, that only you can share. It's like your cultivated self. And it's like what we were talking about earlier, when we're kind of in that haze of being cool or wanting to be in this group or wanting to like be seen a certain way, we lose ourselves. And AI, when you're trying to be someone else, oh, AI and any computer can replace you. But when you start digging into you, you are irreplaceable. And that's what makes an impact on other people. I just connected to my classroom real quick. One of my, well, we lived everything in my classroom based on the classroom Bill of Rights. And the last one was, I have the right to be myself. And it was that idea of once you start, especially, middle school, everybody trying to like either hide or pretend to be whatever is supposed to be cool, like clothes, everything matters. To tell them what matters most is you being yourself. And the day you stop being you, you start pretending to be someone else, our classroom gets dry. It loses its flavor. When you don't have an opinion, when you're too scared to say what you believe, even if it's wrong right now, you have to say it, or even if it's different. And I think that's what it is. The most important thing is to be you and have the courage to be wrong. Have the courage to have an incorrect opinion. Have the courage to not know the information. Because then you get hit in the mouth, you learn. You learn, and then you get to become more of yourself through the experiences. But if you're pretending to be someone else, you never get to find out who you are. And then we never get your value, not your true value.
Hey, come on with the fire question though. Like this is great framing. It kind of takes me back to how we started the episode in terms of money. I feel like a reframe that I had to make, a realization I had to make in my life was that money is a multiplier. That who you are, money, you can use money to multiply those efforts. If you're a loving person, if you're a giving person, you can use it to multiply those efforts. And I feel like technology is similar, but you have to embrace the discomfort of learning it first, of immersing yourself in it first. And if you're able to do that, you can multiply your efforts through it. Just think about social media, right? Like on the face value, it's kind of awkward. It's like I'm not going to hang out with my friends anymore. We're going to do Instagram lives. Like I'm not going to be in the same room as my friends. We're just going to comment on each other's pictures. Like that's stupid, and it feels weird, but you had to learn the technology to figure out like, okay, this is a medium that I can use to multiply, what I'm trying to do. I feel like AI is similar. And, as somebody who leads a team who works like we do digital media, I had to push my team and I'm still pushing them to embrace it, to learn it, to like to get it into your workflow. And because I'm doing that myself, and it is making me a lot more efficient.
Mm.
And it's also given me awareness of like, oh yeah, because I there's people in my company who I look at their role, I'm like, yeah, you got 2 more years.
Oh.
um like if that, like if people at the company are smart enough to implement that, your
Mm.
job is gone. That awareness that it gives you, it's like, yeah, I got to switch it up. And I was actually telling my pops, I was like, I am so glad that I'm not just a specialist, because the fact that I'm a dynamic person, that I'm creative, that I have other ways that I can contribute, or I can kind of shift my skill set to do other things. Like, for a long time, you were told that that's bad. That you got to specialize, you got to niche down, you got to find something that you're the best and just cook. Um, but now I'm kind of starting to see, well, maybe it's not so bad. Like, I'm malleable, like I can kind of switch it up based on new developments and technology. And I feel for other people who, maybe have spent 20 years developing graphic design, and here this thing comes along, and it's just like, and people are just going to get replaced. So I feel that. I definitely feel that. I think my challenge to people would be to learn it, um, learn it so you kind of have an inside angle on, is there a way that I can use this technology to extend, my impact, or to make myself more efficient, to do things quicker that normally I wouldn't have been able to do.
Yeah. And to hop in and close out this segment, AI is going to force us to pivot. AI is going to force us to pivot our mindset, maybe even some people pivot our industries. But especially something I've really been thinking about, AI is really going to force us to pivot to see where our heart really is. I almost relate this new technology of AI to pre-COVID and post-COVID. When we were in the middle of COVID, people found out that they have other dreams than just that dead
Facts.
end job that they're doing. They have other talents that they didn't know exist, or that they
Facts.
didn't know that they even wanted to tap into. And I think AI is going to be a longer version of what we experienced right dead smack in the middle of COVID. And I just want all the listeners to get ready, like start preparing, like Kamau said, tap into it, see how you can use that to elevate your dreams and your visions and your goals. But also force yourself to start pivoting right now. See where your heart really wants to be. Because at the same time, AI is not going to be able to make someone feel your impact. It's only a computer at the end of the day, right? So it can't feel your genuine spirit and the heart that you put behind your work. It might can help you get there, as Kamau said, but it won't give that homeless individual on the street that dollar that they've been working for all day. Like that homeless person doesn't see a smile on a chat GPT, screen when they need help. Right. So still think about impacts around you that you can change your world, but also you can elevate someone else's world, but showing your heart and your true kind spirit at the same time. But
And something you said, Zuri, that I just wanted to add to is like, you also need to pivot your energy, right? Like, because that's an X factor that no computer, no one else can give. Like, when that light is coming off of you, of somebody who's doing what they love, right? There's a warmth that person gives off, that you just like, I want to be around this person. What is it about them? That charisma, that X factor. They don't even have to be saying anything.
mm-hmm.
So yes, you can be a graphic designer, as Kamau said. Yes, you can have been doing it for 20 years, but nobody graphics design like Zuri, because they don't give me that feeling when I walk into her office. I don't want to come into the office. Like, that's sole reason for some people coming into the office is because Zuri works there, because Kamau works there, because, okay, I'm gonna go to this meeting because this person is there, and I need my, like, even working with Kamau, like somebody said, like the daily dose of Tunji. Like, that's the thing.
Bro, I was finna bring that up. I was finna bring that up today, bro. I swear to God, I was, bro. Somebody was raving to me today. They're like, "Oh yeah, I need my DDOT." I'm like, "What the hell is that?" They're like, "My daily dose of Tunji."
If that doesn't go perfect for what you were just saying.
No, really, it just came to me like your energy is the X factor, and it comes from doing what you love, and that's irreplaceable. So, like you said, all the pivots, try and, like Zuri said, pivot into that thing that gives you that energy. Where somebody, even if this one job doesn't want you, they only care about the content. Somebody is desperate for you. Somebody is desperate for your light in that workplace. And then you find yourself exactly where you're supposed to be. Which, and I didn't want to cut you off, Zuri. I just got super hyped.
No, please hop back in.
I got to show some love to my graphic designer, though. Tim, I'm not, everything's going to be cool, bro. I'm not even referencing you, brother. Everything's going to be cool. You're a dynamic individual. You're going to be straight.
But Tim in the house like Jesus Christ.
To wrap this segment up, just want to, again, just repeat that, AI is going to force you to pivot into where your heart really belongs and where that impact will always shine through. And just lean into it. Don't run away from it.
Yeah, and it's interesting because it leads me into us into segment 2 with Kamau, like how should I proceed? And I think about, I don't know, just AI being able to give answers, and some answers you can't necessarily get from a computer. So I that's a question that doesn't have an answer. Kamau, you can go ahead.
Yeah, for sure. And the pivot and proceed is a segment where we open the conversation to make it two-way, to engage with our audience, to engage with people who are actually living life. We talk a lot in theory about different things and how it's going to impact. We tell a lot of our stories. We talk about other people's, but this is the segment where, we want to talk about you and the pivots and proceeds that you're dealing with. And also just a quick call to action. If there is any, there's a moment or something that you want to share on the podcast, just feel free to DM us on our Instagram page. And we'd love to feature you on here. Alrighty. So from a listener, this is a short one, but heavy nonetheless. I've lost direction in my life. I've lost my family, my friends, my job, and my self-belief. How do you start over in life after you've lost everything? Where do I start?
My mind goes to a Rumi quote. It says, "The cure for the pain is in the pain. In silence, there is eloquence. Stop weaving and see how the pattern improves." And what that really means to me is like getting quiet. And the first thing I would question is, have I really lost everything? Have I really lost everything? Because sometimes, like, I know personally, and I'm talking to myself just as much as I'm talking to you, sometimes my pride blinds me to the fact that I still have these people, I still have these things, but I'm not willing to humble myself enough to apologize or to shift gears to get the relationship back or rebuild it or to start from zero. Sometimes that's the hardest thing I've really ever had to do, to start from zero, financially, emotionally, like physically. Something as simple as you don't go to the gym for 2 weeks and now like you go in and like, I'm going to die, right? It literally feels like death. And I feel like that's transferable into every category. So my first thing is sitting in that and asking myself, okay, have I lost everything? And if you genuinely have, and I'm starting from zero, I start small. What is the smallest thing I can do? And I would say rebuild those relationships. I would say, okay, no, that's the question. What is the smallest thing I can do? And then do it. Even if that thing is making your bed first thing in the morning and building that confidence from there. Because that self-belief hit hard. That's the biggest struggle. When you don't even believe yourself enough to send a text message, to make a phone call, to get out of the bed. Then getting out of the bed is a win. Then making that bed is a win. And stopping and like being proud of yourself for doing all those things that you didn't want to do, but needed to be done.
When you were reading that prompt, the first word that popped into my head is the word pull. To that listener who wrote in that prompt, you have to, when you've lost everything, or even when you feel you've lost everything. Only you know the feeling of when you lose everything. You have to ask yourself, where are you being pulled right now? Because you also have to think a life for a life. If you've lost everything, that means everything is on the other side of the things that you have already lost. And being pulled into different environments in other people's lives, in new people's lives, sadly, you have to lose something to gain something you never thought you needed. So it's really time to kind of just, sit in silence and really feel and be confident in knowing where you're being pulled to. If it's a new destination, a new environment, a new group of friends that you might need, because sometimes the influence around us will have us think we might have lost everything, but really we lost the perfect thing, to make sure that we're being pulled into destinations that were curated just for us. So to wrap this up, just you have to know where you're being pulled to, and it might take some time, but you'll feel that gravity pull. You'll feel your heart yearning for where you need to be. And once you start there, the new beginnings just open up on the other side of losing everything. It's really a blessing to lose everything. I know that's hard to hear right now as you're sitting in the lost, but once you realize that new, thing that was on the other side of that fear of even moving forward, you really start to be grateful for everything that you lost in this season.
My adage is change starts with the person in the mirror. I think the best way to where you ask, where do I start? I think you start with looking for what makes you fulfilled, searching for personal fulfillment. Because I think, if you're not fulfilled, like, you're not going to be able to really move the other mountains that you're mentioning. Your family is a mountain. And you don't even have full control of that. If you've lost them, you don't have full control to regain them back. That's a decision that doesn't just lie within your locus of control. If you've lost your job, you don't just have the ability to just gain that back. There's some stuff that's lost, and if it's to be, it'll come back, and if it's not, then it's not. But I think starting with personal fulfillment, to me, is going to help ignite that self-belief. Because, if you can do things that make you happy, make you fulfilled, even if it's something as light as, being in nature, going to the beach, going on a walk, going on a hike. If you can do things that make you, feel happy with life, feel like, that there's more to these things. There's more to life than the things that are out of my control. If you can regain that fulfillment from your own life, that self-belief is going to start to turn, and that self-belief is really going to be the engine that turns everything, right? If one of my favorite quotes, actually, by Napoleon Hill, I keep it on my my chain here: desire backed by faith knows no such word as impossible. If you have self-belief, you can start to desire things again. And self-belief also comes with faith. That's like, I can do the things that I desire. If you have those two things, there's no such word as impossible. But it does have to start with you. Like, you have to be the change. You can't look for your son, daughter, wife to be the change. You got to be the change that you want to see, gain that personal fulfillment for yourself, and then the chips are going to fall where they may.
Beautiful. And I don't know, that self-belief really, it leads into favorite failures, our third segment, the segment that I lead, and it really got me emotional because a favorite failure is exactly what it sounds like. A failure that you look at positively now, that ended up being something that you're winning, that you're happy happened. And I'm still kind of in that growth phase of it. I was saying this earlier today. On Tuesday, my last group of students that I ever taught, this is one of the hardest years teaching I ever had. I poured my soul into these kids, right? It would have been so easy to quit so many different times. And I was struggling with relationship issues, money issues at the time. It was hard. It was a lot of growth work, but I didn't quit, and they made it. They graduated 8th grade, went to 9th grade, and this was their 12th grade senior graduation. I had a speaking engagement on Thursday in Houston, Texas. Their graduation's in Atlanta, Georgia. And then I get a call on Saturday previous that it was a mistake. The speaking isn't on Thursday, it's on Tuesday morning. Tuesday at 8:30 a.m. So I'm like, oh, perfect. I'm gonna get a standby flight, 8:30. Who's traveling on a Tuesday? Nobody. Okay, like I'm gonna be straight. And I got like 3 flights that's gonna make it in time. I do the speaking engagement Tuesday morning in Houston to another senior graduating class, right before their dress rehearsal. They're like, oh, you definitely need to come back. It feels good. My cousin works at that school. I get on the flight and I'm sitting in the airport and there are 4 open seats. I was number 5. I missed that first flight. And the next flight comes and people come out of the woodwork and I'm like 15 and I'm not even close to making that flight. And I have to sit there and watch the moment and the time go by. And then I go to the flight, like I'm on the flight. I already know that I'm not, I'm like, you know, when you're just pretending that you're going to make it at that point. And I'm like on the flight, just you lying to yourself. And I land and I open up the phone. The graduation was at 7. I land at 9:30 p.m. By the time I get home to get there, it's 10, and I'm looking at Instagram and they've already posted afterwards, you know, it's over. And it just hurt because I don't get that moment back. Not only did I look them in the eye and say, I'm coming for some of them. So then like reality kind of turns you into a liar. Yes, you said, yes, I had the best interest. I thought I could get the best of both worlds, but I didn't. But why it's a favorite failure? Because it was a money issue. So going back to this beginning of this episode on financial stability, I was on standby because I didn't have that $300. I didn't have it in the budget to throw on that flight, and I thought I could get the best of both worlds. And you know what that audio is like, and then something clicked in me. No, just that other gear of no. I'm tired of money being a limiting factor in moments that I deserve. Like just selfishly, I earned that moment. I was supposed to be there cheering them on. I earned that. I earned the smiles I was going to see on their faces, and I don't get those. So my favorite failure is fresh. It's from this Tuesday, and I'm tired of money being a limiting factor when it doesn't matter to me. So yeah, that's my favorite failure.
Hey, people do not understand, and if you do understand, shout out to you, but most people don't understand how demoralizing flying standby is, and it coming down to the last wire, and because your hope gets up and you're like, you got your day plan in your head, or like, boom, I'm gonna get there at 5:30, you know, I'm gonna, and then you're literally waiting until the door is about to close, just like standing in front of the flight attendant, like, please, savior, just let me bypass this, you know, and get me on this vessel to, and they say no, you know, or that last person comes running down the terminal, like, God damn, like, you could have just tripped, you know, like you could have got caught up in security, like, and it is so demoralizing. Let that happen once to you, but it happens 3 times in a day. Oh my God. Like, people don't understand that standby struggle. It's traumatic. It's traumatic.
Right. And I was talking to my homeboy about it. It turns you into an evil person because you be preying on people's downfall, like just trip. Like, yeah, you see a lady come up with her 2 babies and you mean mugging them, like, you're selfish. When they at this day flight, there's a pregnant woman I done mean mugged. I'm like, no, I need to get my life together. This ain't it.
Man, it's something about putting your heart into something and putting those blood, sweat, and tears and putting that sweat equity into it. And like you said, Tunji, you just feel like you deserve it. And that kind of really just spoke to me because I just thought about the sacrifices and any trials and tribulations that we might go through, and then we get to the final destination and it just still doesn't pan out as we want it to. But I'm very big on lessons. And I know a lot of people never want to hear this part where it's like, oh, you didn't make it to the graduation, or you didn't make it to, that monumental event that you were going to. But being a podcaster, you have to ask yourself, what is the lesson, that you learned from not even getting that reward at the end, knowing that you put your heart into it? Is the lesson that you gave everything you had, the emotional, your spirit, your heart, your words? Is that enough for you? Right? Like, that's a question that comes out of a situation like yours, Tunji. Or are you like, no, I still deserve to be there. I still deserve to gloat with the individuals that I helped get them across the stage. And wherever side you land on, you have to be content with that. It just depends on what question and what lesson are you content enough with to move forward to the next day and be okay with missing out on those, events that you earned, like you said.
Yeah, what the lesson that really I got from it is afterwards is like, what are you gonna do with your pain? It's here now. You're upset now. And I'm not gonna waste the pain and money, and I need to get my money right. So it's okay. Who's gonna be the victim? Like who am I putting this on? So I'm gonna use it to cook. Because also it was a humility that you're not in control. You're not in control. You can make the best plan ever. You can have 2 flights like grace period. You can do everything right. Tomorrow's not promised, let alone getting on a flight, let alone you being blessed with standby, let alone you being blessed with that opportunity. So the first thing was humility, like humble yourself. You blessed. You got nothing to complain about. And then the second was, okay, now what you gonna do with this pain? Not be broke. That was my mind. Like, not only not be broke, but as Kamau said earlier, I love the way he put it. He said, be financially abundant. Financially abundant. Because what it also said to me is, nah, if you had your money right, you would have gotten that moment. You don't deserve it. You didn't deserve it because you didn't have your budget together.
That's a good reframe, or that's good motivation, Tunji. But I also like the humility piece too, because even if you did buy a first class flight, you know how they be getting canceled, bro. You travel so much to know how much
That's a good point.
flights get canceled. It's ridiculous. So the government even had to intervene at this point. Like they get canceled a lot. So I think the humility is important, just in the sense that there's a lot of stuff we can't control. And I think the motivation aspect is healthy, because it's like, well, the things that I can control, I'm going to have as much influence over them as I can. But yeah, I feel you. I feel you. My favorite failure was, I had my favorite failure was having no plan Bs for this job or my career. I really went all in on my job and my career, and like I only had one opportunity, one shot, one moment to seize everything you ever wanted.
Spaghetti.
It actually wasn't that, but it kind of was. It was one shot. It was an unpaid internship that has turned into a lot more. But that, it's kind of like when you only have one lifeline and it's not enough, but it's all you got, and you just got to ride it. And there were so many moments. I've been on this journey for 4.5 years, and I wanted to quit. I feel like I tried to quit in my mind. I looked for other opportunities. I did everything. I game planned myself out of it. I tried to do everything, and nothing really came through. But the only reason I'm still here is because I held on to the lifeline. Like, I just did not want to. I wanted other things, but I was not going to let go of the lifeline first, because it was my only lifeline. And it was kind of one of those situations where, the plan A has to work. Like if I'm going to stick with it, it has to work. And I think there were so many times where I was confused, where I wasn't a believer, I was like, F this. There were so many F this moments. And I was telling Zuri and Tunji, um, off camera a couple weeks ago, just even about our podcast and talking about things that make you scoff. What are the things that frustrate you about the thing that you create? And those are good motivations. Those are where you should fix things. But there were so many moments where I scoffed at what I was creating. There were so many moments that I scoffed at this lifeline, and I was just like, this shit is trash. Like, F this. Like, where's my way out? And over the last couple months, few weeks, I've been in meetings, I've been participating in stuff, and people are just bringing me win after win after win after win, and it's just celebration. People are like, oh, I got this over here, I'm covering this opportunity, this person says they're interested, are you guys available, this and that, and it's like, and it's just all these wins, and I'm just sitting here like, whoa. Like, at what point did this get like this? Like, at what point and it's cool because when I was in the boat by myself and it was just a lifeline, I just felt like it was me in the boat. I felt like I was just taking all these L's to the chin. That there was nobody else to blame but me. There was nobody else. There was no cop out, and I think that was even more frustrating. It's just like looking in myself in the mirror and be like, you're not enough. Clearly, if this thing is still failing, whatever you're doing isn't enough. And I believe that, but I still held on. And it's cool now to be at a place where there's a lot more people in the room, and they're celebrating, and I'm happy, I'm happy for people. I'm happy to see that we're winning, and to see other people who were on the boat with me and they're winning. They're like, everybody's excited. But I remember when that shit sucked. I remember when I hated it,
Yeah.
And yeah, and so it's a favorite failure moment because like, I'm not gonna say I wish I would have gave up, but I kind of I wanted to so bad,
Yeah.
but I just didn't have an option. Like, there was no, it wasn't even me trying to be successful with a thing. I just didn't want to perish. Like, my livelihood, I didn't want to be homeless or whatever the case, whatever that other end was, I didn't want that. And so, yeah, the favorite failure is just like sticking with it when I hated every minute of it.
So, unless we have any other favorite failures, beautiful. So, going into really closing, and when I tell you, just jump back to last episode, Zuri, when I tell you that Tusi that you shared popped into my life so many times. How about I was doing a workshop and the kids, and it was talking about music and picking a music for a song for a perfect scene. And they were like, Tusi, favorite song. I was like,
sir.
what? Like, and then another day, until the point where I don't know if y'all got my audio message. I was trying to send it like 10 times, but I was walking around like, no makeup, like singing Tusi, like with my whole soul. So this is becoming definitely one of my favorite segments. All that to say this. Glows and grows, and a soundtrack to your glow. If y'all allow me, I'll kick it off. My glow is, I think I'm gonna take the DDOT, the daily dose of Tunji concept, because all it speaks to is energy. And before I had anything else, I had energy, right? I was doing what I loved, and whether I got paid for it or not, like, this was me. And then to cultivate the skill and put in blood, sweat, and tears, and a lot of people lose themselves, that joy for it on the journey. And to be like 10, 11, 12 years in, and somebody being like, daily dose of Tunji, not because I'm giving a quote or anything like that. I'm just being me. I'm just stepping into the root and being me. So to still have my glow, still be me. That's definitely it. And my grow, y'all already know, is to get the financial abundance. Financial abundance, to where standby is an option. Is an option of that I'm not taking. right? That a flight back and forth is nothing. Nothing. And that when the moment really, and I'll say it like this, when the moment really matters, I have the bread to get the flight without hesitation. I'm not thinking about how it affects my budget, how it's going to break me, how I have these other debts to pay, that I can just get it. And my soundtrack to it, and I'm going to take it from my glow and my grow. It's Asake, a Nigerian artist, Afro beats. The song is Peace Be Unto You. The album is Mr. Money with the Vibe. Mr. Money with the Vibe. And the song is Peace Be Unto You. It's one of those where he's like, Olua, shower me with your blessings times two. So Olua is God, right? And he's like, before they use me, I go use my sense. Because he just blew up as an artist. And they're going to be quick to use you is what everybody's telling me. He's like, but before they use me, I'm going to use my sense.
Sheesh.
It's just one of those. So Peace Be Unto You, Asake, album, Mr. Money with the Vibe right now.
I'll hop in here. I want to start with my glow. I have two this week. My glow is that this year, in 149 days, it is my 10-year reunion for the freshman class of Florida A&M University. And that is my glow this week because that campus, that experience changed my life. It changed my perspective. It changed my love just for myself and where I'm going in life. I was an oblivious teenager and FAMU just woke me up. The environment, anyone who has gone to FAMU or even been on the campus, it's kind of like a community word that you just feel a certain vibration there. And you don't know until you go. And that was the best thing in my life I could have done at such a young age, is move completely different states, right? As I left my teenage years to go to an institution that just changed my heart, my mindset, just everything. It elevated my career. It just did everything for me. So that is my glow, me just being thankful that I can go back to a place where I built a community literally from nothing. I knew no one there, and I built an entire community all on the backs of me being Zuri. And that's all I had to do in that environment. And it just holds such a special place in my heart. And it's just my 10-year reunion, and I'm just smiling, I'm blushing, I'm happy, and I cannot wait to just go back to an environment this year and celebrate with that community that I built brick by brick. And knowing that it's my 10-year for college is just so crazy to think of when I entered onto that campus. So that's definitely my glow. I've just been glowing about that all week, really. My grow and glow, my second, I'm going to put this together. I saw this video and it really changed my perspective of the word remember, because a lot of times we think of the word remember as a connotation to memory, of trying to just remember, right? A memory. But remember can also mean if you are trying to remember yourself, maybe to someone who hurt you in the past, to an environment that really didn't give you the love that you needed, and you created maybe a trauma out of that. But when you are trying to remember yourself, as in you want to remember yourself maybe to another person or to that environment again, you have to forget. You have to stop coping and stop remembering the past so much for you to proceed on and to prevail on, especially if it's like a family member or, an old friend, whatever it may be. And I have that. This is my growing glow, because I am the definition of remembering myself to people who I felt would never get another part of me, whether my heart, my mind, my words, whatever. And I had to stop remembering the past so I can really heal myself, because the more I remembered the past, like I would be on the bridge of like forgiving the person, and then I remember the past. I'm like, nope, They still don't deserve that. They still don't deserve me. They still don't deserve my energy, right? They still don't deserve this light I have. And then I saw this video. It was like, stop thinking of the past when you're on your healing journey. Like you're past that for right now. So this is my growing glow because I have been actively doing this to again remember myself to people who I kind of distance myself to. And I'm proud of myself because it's not an easy task. It's not even an easy task to stop thinking of the past because that's all we want to do. It's a safety point. It's a closet that we can close the door to and shut everyone out. My playlist really this week, it's not just a soundtrack. My playlist would be Khalid. I used to love his music as an artist, like back in 2018. And I kind of put it down for a while, but I stumbled upon his album a few days ago, and it's just a beautiful album. It's his 2018 album. Can't think of the name right now, but it's one of those just vibes where you can turn on and just think, right? Like you can just let the music just play. It's beautiful, it's serene, but he's like spitting too. Like that's my favorite type
Is
of
this
music. So
Sun City?
yes, Sun City. And just make sure it says 2018. And that's the one. But yeah, I want to say
Yeah.
that's the one. And it's the album. It is beautiful. So yeah, that's my growing glow for this week.
You guys have some good ones. I want to just comment on Tunji. One of the things he said about financial abundance. You know, the language that you use, even when Zuri was kind of talking about remember and like the language that you use is so important. And it's a big part of success, in my opinion. It's not what you say, it's how you say them, you know, and just speaking on the financial abundance piece, when you're trying to bring something into your life that's not there, I think just doing it from a place of like I'm adding as opposed to I'm subtracting is really important. Like you can add other things to kind of like replace what you got, but I think when you get into that subtraction mindset, or like I just need to take things out, or I need to, even that word in itself, like I need, like these are just very different words than I'm adding or I'm creating or I'm doing things that are more positive. Just be mindful about that. This is even a reminder to myself, but it's very easy to kind of get into that struggle vocabulary, that struggle lexicon, where you're unintentionally attracting to the things that you don't want, the things that you're trying to get away from. But when you have these words, I'm trying to get away from it, or I need, when you have that kind of that language, sometimes it's counterproductive. Sometimes it's also a good motivator, sometimes you kind of get a little grit about yourself and get hard and, do what you got to do. But nonetheless, wanted to point that out. For my glow, yeah, again, people just bring me wins. That's been really nice. I think anytime you're building something, it's like you just feel like you're facing a mountain and just shit is just landsliding down, and it's just like sometimes you can dodge it, but a lot of times it slaps you in the motherfucking face. And so when when people are bringing you wins, it's a very refreshing thing. It's like it's kind of like when you're hiking a mountain and then you get to the top and you see the view, you're like, damn, this view is cold. But you would have never got there unless you chose to hike. But hiking, usually sucks. I mean, there's some people like Tunji who like to hike, who like the process, who fall in love with the process. I love the destination. I hike for the view. I don't hike for the hike. So being up here, looking at the views, and then just having other people that you're doing it with, it's a great feeling. I'm addicted to the feeling of celebrating with other people, because we've done some shit together. Even Zuri brought up Russell. That was one of the things I wanted to comment about him. Like, one of the things I admire about him is how he's such a team person. Like, he's very big on teams. He's very big on not doing things by yourself. And somebody is like an artist, right? Who's really a solo act in a lot of ways, but that's what you think, but it's really a whole team behind these people. Even YouTube channels, like, a lot of times it's very easy to be like, oh yeah, that's just one person. Man, that's a team behind that YouTube
Facts.
channel that's putting that stuff out. So don't underestimate working with teams. Like, it's powerful, and I love that. So I'm glowing about my team and the teams I'm a part of. In terms of my grow, there's a lot of areas, constant growth. Morning routines is one that I really need. I've identified that I got to get back to. I'm somebody who, I'm disciplined, and I'm good about routines and practices until things start going well in my life, and then I switch up, and then I come back crashing down, and it's like this cyclical cycle where my life happens in wave forms, and I'm trying to get away from that, but what that takes is consistency and like discipline, and those daily habits and morning routines is one of them. My morning routine is to hop on Twitter and to look at all the chaos in the world. So want to be more intentional about my morning routine. In terms of my soundtrack, it's really been this Search and Rescue by Drake. Take me out the club, take me out the trap, take me out the market, take me out the map. Yeah, it's been a vibe. I've just been playing it again and again, and gives me a lot of appreciation for the relationship I'm in, and you know, like, just the kind of level of focus and the level of like peace that you get when you're not on the market, when you're not in the trap, when you're not in the club. That peace has created a level of stability, mental stability, for me to do a lot of stuff. So yeah.
That's so crazy because when you said the song, I'm like, didn't he already hit the group chat and say he off the market? Okay, I get it. I get it. That's funny.
It's love. If my fellow co-hosts don't have anything else to add, we want to close by saying we love you. As always, we appreciate you. We appreciate your ears, your hearts, and we appreciate anything that you have to add, especially going into something that struck me that you said is come out the second segment, like just that pausing to let them know that, this is a community, this is us, and that we want to welcome you into these moments. So we love you. We look forward to welcome you into these moments, and may every pivot that you have in life be followed by a proceed. Love y'all.